What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I would like to welcome you all to another edition of Wayne's Perspective, where we operate in discipline, decency, integrity, and respect. And I'm coming through with another one just for you. Before I get started, I hope everyone is doing okay, taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way you know how. As for me, y'all know how I do. I'm doing okay over here. Can't complain too much. I'm also taking every day one day at a time and living life the best way I know how as well. In today's episode, I'll be talking about the Friday soundtrack, which was released 30 years ago today. Regarding the movie itself, which I'll be referencing during the video, I first seen it sometime in 1996, and I've always been a fan of it. It's definitely a classic that is continuing to age well, and I'm pretty sure the majority of you listening to this have seen this movie, and I'm also sure that you own the DVD or you're streaming it. Either way, I'm sure it's part of your collection. The soundtrack, I actually didn't add it to my collection until sometime in 2007 or 2008. And even at that point, I remember the classics up and down the line. And speaking of classics, that'll take us right into today's episode. So let me go ahead and get my screen share for everyone. And of course, what we have here is my review of the soundtrack song by song. You can follow along as well. Plus, I'll put the link in the description box. And be sure to check out my hip hop related work at www.medium.com/ at WDM625. That's www.medium.com/ at WDM625. And with all that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this was released 30 years ago today, April 11th, 1995. I know I mentioned this in previous videos, but I just want to say once again that as far as my favorite year in hip hop history, it is 1995, and that's never going to change. You can count on that. All Going into the soundtrack, we have the opener, Friday, performed by Ice Cube, produced by Ice Cube as well. And I note that this opening to the soundtrack closes the movie after Smokey, played by Chris Tucker, famously says, "I was just bullshitting, and you know this, man." And of course, this was the scene where he was on the phone with Big Worm and talking about he was going to take a little break from smoking and stuff like that, which would have been interesting to see if that would have held up in the sequel, but we already know what happened with Next Friday. And speaking of Next Friday, I never actually seen that movie in its entirety, and I've heard a lot of mixed feedback about it, and still to this day, I'm not going to dedicate any time to watching the sequel. Plus, the original is just so good that no matter what came after it, it probably was going to be a step down, but I digress. It all goes down on the day just before the weekend. Y'all know where that come from. In complete party mode with a true West Coast flavor, Cube aimed to please the fellas and ladies with this banger, and he succeeded. Great way to start the soundtrack, and of course, a great way to close the movie. 5 out of 5 for this one. And of course, I would play the video, but I don't want to get a copyright strike, so we'll just proceed on to song number 2. Dr. Dre's Keep the Heads Ringing. This was also produced by Dre. This song plays during the scene in which Craig and Smokey take a trip to the store to get Smokey's mom some cigarettes. Man, if there was the slightest tension within Death Row Records at the time and Dre wasn't inspired, which is another story altogether, you would never know it by listening to this classic. This was one of the best songs in 95 and one of many that defined the Death Row sound at that point, complete with probably the second best lyrical performance by Dre, whether he wrote it himself or not. And this also gets a 5 out of 5. And I believe I previously said that the best lyrical performance by Dre was Let Me Ride. I think that is my pick. I have to go back and look at some of my reviews to see if that is the song that I picked. But yeah, this is a classic right here. Next up, song number 3, we have Scarface featuring CJ Mack, Friday Night, produced by N.O. Joe. Definitely an underrated producer known for some awesome work with Rap-A-Lot Records and other artists from the South. This was another banger that fully captured the Rap-A-Lot sound of the mid-90s, bringing their brand of Texas funk to Cali. 5 out of 5, and if you're keeping track, that makes 3 straight 5 out of 5 rated songs. Next up, song number 4, we have Threat, Letting Niggas Know, produced by DJ Pooh, who also starred in the movie and co-wrote the script with Ice Cube and Rashad Coez. As far as I'm concerned, this was the only low point on the soundtrack. It's not great, it's not whack, but it's just okay. 3 out of 5 for this one. Next up, we have another classic, this one by Cypress Hill, Roll It Up, Light It Up, Smoke It Up, produced by DJ Muggs. I can't forget this one playing when Smokey got Craig to smoke for the first time. Smokey said he would get him high today, and he did. Because it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm sure the smokers all over in 95 and even today still love this one. And who better to provide a song like this than Cypress Hill? I can only imagine how this comes off listening to it while you're quote unquote high. Again, it's a classic. 5 out of 5 for this one. Next up, song number 6, Mac 10, Take a Hit. And this was also produced by Mac 10. Remember when Craig came to Smokey's house while looking all over his room, particularly at the posters on his wall? Craig says, "All you do is smoke weed." "I know. That's my only problem," Smokey replied. I've never been what you would call a big Mac 10 fan, but hot damn, in my view, this one song is the best thing he's ever done, and that includes his contributions with West Side Connection. Such a dope song that I give a 5 out of 5 rating to. And going into this weekend, man, I might throw this soundtrack in the ride. I'm just saying. Song number 7 is Trying to See Another Day. This was featuring and produced by Ron Isley, and Angela Winbush was behind the boards as well. I know we get a few R&B classics in the middle of the soundtrack. This aptly titled song opens the movie and is very good. 5 out of 5 for this one. I also heard that Ice Cube insisted that there was some old school songs not only on this soundtrack but on the next Friday soundtrack and the Friday after next soundtrack, which is a cool thing. I have no problems with that because it's a nice little balance with the hip hop songs on the soundtrack too. So that was a good decision, I think. And by the way, I'm not sure why I didn't note it here, but this song was by the Isley Brothers. So excuse the typo. No. Next up is song number 8, Bootsy Collins featuring Bernie Worrell, You Got Me Wide Open. This was also produced by Bootsy Collins and Ice Cube. I note here, talk about a song where the male vocalist makes his feelings very clear and easy to understand for the woman of his eye. Bootsy Collins brought his nice, slick, and smooth style from the 70s into the 90s, and it works so well. Definitely not out of place. And longtime fans would know this song plays when Mrs. Parker was bending over when she was watering her lawn, and Smokey and Craig and all of us fellas was looking. Always remember that. 5 out of 5 for this one. Song number 9, the late Rick James, Mary Jane, produced by Art Stewart. It was only fitting that this classic was played when Smokey was getting his smoke on and acting a damn fool in the process. I'll admit that it took me a long time to realize what Rick was actually talking about in this song. And I don't know why it didn't hit me until years later that Mary Jane was slang for weed. And I also note here that it's the equivalent to a good woman. And Rick James makes that case very strongly here. He's so convincing that he makes you want to try it, but not me. This is one of many classics from Rick James. Another 5 out of 5 hit. Next up, song number 10, Rolls Royce, I Want to Get Next to You, produced by Whitfield. Note to younger fans, if you want to impress your significant other by playing a nice song that details how you feel about her, throw this song on and avoid any R&B on the radio. Much like the earlier Bootsy Collins song, this was also aptly titled and one of many old school R&B classics where the main theme was telling the other person how you feel. The content didn't have to be explicit or controversial at all, and most of the time being simple yet effective works 10 times better. And I'm sure you all remember that this song was sequenced quite well during the scenes where Smokey and Craig were watching Debbie, played by Nia Long, running down the street, and at the end of the movie when Craig and Debbie link up after his fight against Debo, played by the late Tiny Lister. 5 out of 5 for this one, because it's such good stuff. Next up, song number 11, Funk Du Beast, Super Hose, produced by DJ Muggs and DJ Ralph M. Simply put, this is a good song that knocks in the system. And of course, Remember when Debo absolutely knocks Red on his ass after asking about his bike? That's when this song comes in, and I give it 4 out of 5. And as we all remember, Red was played by DJ Pooh. You got knocked the fuck out. Hilarious to this day. Song number 12, The Alcoholics, Coast to Coast, produced by E. Swift. The three-man team continued to show why they were so underrated at the time with this one. Again, another 5 out of 5 song on this soundtrack. Song number 13, that would be EA Sky, Blast If I Have To, produced by CMT and EA Sky. This is the one that immediately starts playing in the scene which finds Smokey and Craig in a gun battle with Big Worm's crew. And if you like gangstified hip-hop with the all too familiar gunplay talk, then this one's for you. It's a dope song, 4 out of 5. Song number 14, this will be Hoochie Mama by 2 Live Crew. They also produced this along with Mr. Mix. Y'all know that Joy is hopping out of that car, and Joy was played by the lovely actress Paula J. Parker. I note here, songs like this were somewhat plentiful in the 90s, known more for the bass-driven beats and catchy hooks rather than anything lyrical, and more often than not, they worked. This one did work, even though I gave it a 3 out of 5. Next song is by the late Roger Troutman. I heard it through the grapevine. This was produced by him as well. When Smokey meets up with Big Worm to talk business, this one starts up. And y'all remember the lines, "You smoking my shit? Hell no. Fuck with your shit? Hell no." This is what I would call the vintage Roger Troutman sound, and it was a good way to close the soundtrack. Another 5 out of 5 classic. To close the review, I note that this was a nice trip down memory lane. It always is when I talk about classics from back in the day. I almost forgot how dope the soundtrack was, and much like the movie itself, the soundtrack has aged well and is definitely my number 3 favorite soundtrack behind The Show and Murder Was the Case, respectively. And yes, when it's time to commemorate The Show for 30 years, I will be talking about that on the channel as well. I also note that it's truly a nice blend of dope hip hop and soulful R&B, which we really don't get anymore. 4.5 stars, a strong recommendation for a revisit if you own it, and even for new fans. If you don't own this, make sure you add it to your collection. You cannot go wrong with a soundtrack like this. In closing, I just want to say thank you to everybody who played a major part in this soundtrack. Those who are still with us, those who are no longer with us, rest in peace. You gave us some great material that's going to always stand the test of time, just like the movie Friday. And on that note, if you like what you heard and you're ready to become part of Team Discipline, go ahead and hit that like button and drop some comments if you're feeling the content. Let me know what you think about the soundtrack, of course, and the movie as well. And last but not least, hit that subscribe button along with the bell so you're notified when I drop new videos. And until next time, my people, take care of yourselves. And remember, not only is the power of the mind valuable, but it's Friday. I'm going to get you high today because you ain't got no job and you ain't got shit to do. Take care, y'all.